colour scheme of the Kick Sauber tonight? Looks, well, actually, the sky just got a little bit clearer. Anyway, I'll deal with that in a moment, because we are down to 5 red lights. And away they go for the start of round 9. It is the Chinese Grand Prix. It's a good start for our race leader. Shelby gets away well off the line, followed closely by Lofty Pickle, who has overtaken Arbon. But Arbon there has the inside line in the Mercedes going into turn 1. It's going to turn into the outside line as they go around turn 2 and 3. Arbon there now might be losing the place to Tarrier, having to defend a little bit, and he will cover the inside as we approach turn 5. Bit of a lock-up for Shelby, but that won't really matter. We see an Aston Martin and the Haas going side by side. There's lots of very tense racing, and there are some position changes happening. Golden Egg Fryer has somehow been disqualified. I can only imagine that it's a little bit of a disconnect. Infinity was kind of falling behind the crowd a little bit, but so far, everything seems intense, but everybody has kept the car on the track. We see some cars running very, very wide in the background as they swing it around that double left-hander. And a bit of a wobble for Donkey Dan. Was there contact made? Quite possibly. 28 laps then to get through for the Chinese Grand Prix tonight. And look at that. We are nearly... I mean, are we 4 wide? What are we doing? It's all happening out there. Okay, let's start turning some things on. Let's see. Gap. No, we'll keep it on interval for now. I will just check out what tyres we're all starting on. We do have a bit of a, you know, an array of strategies across the field. That might be why Arbon actually lost some positions off the start, because Arbon has opted to start on the hard tyre then. For tonight's race. Go. Well, we're going to turn it on to position change for just a moment so that we can see who some of the big winners and losers are. In this opening couple of laps. What's the real strategy meta around here? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Generally, though, whatever the game, however long the game thinks you can take the medium tyres, the likelihood is that you can take them 2 laps less than that before you start to do yourself a bit of a disservice. That's generally the rule of thumb. But I don't know if that actually rings true around China. It remains to be seen. But like I say, we've got some different strategies across the field. It's lap 2 now, of course, so DRS is open, and Tarrier making great use of that to get the overtake done on Sean in the Aston Martin. By the way, as I've been talking and messing around, look at this gap that has developed from P2 to P3. Lofty Pickle is staying with Shelby here. The 2 race leaders, Shelby, in fact, Lofty Pickle putting in fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far with a 1:33.8, but it is 3.5 seconds now back to Tarrier in the Alpine in P3. So that is probably going to give or cause concern in some of Lofty Pickle's championship rivals, namely this man will be one of them. By the way, we've already had a DNF with Skull Killer as well. All kinds of things have been happening that I haven't been paying attention to. Seemed like all the cars were staying close together and doing good things. But Sean is one of the people who might be thinking about knocking Lofty Pickle off his perch before the season comes to a close. But right now, it's just advantage upon advantage upon advantage for the regular McLaren driver. That explains the melting butter mediums at Monza. Yeah, just honestly, most of the time, the game thinks that you are not going to drive as aggressively as you should. And it severely overestimates how long you can actually take a set of tyres before it starts to affect you. Nice and easy overtake here for Sean then in the Aston Martin down this very, very long back straight with that rear wing open. But look at the Haas getting very close. Kai very, very close to the Alpine there on the approach to the tight hairpin. All of these cars, though, currently are still losing time to the race leaders. It is almost at 4 seconds now, and it is actually at some parts of the racetrack. If we turn it on to tyres, we can see that the two race leaders have opted for medium tyres, but it's not like they've just got all hard runners behind them. Really, Sean and Tarrier probably will be most concerned about these developments. The likes of Kai, Arbon and Ten Kart, though, might actually be feeling reasonably comfortable if they can stay in a little DRS train here from third place down. Don't really need to be challenging anybody too much for too many positions, and then can really attack the medium tyres on a fast stint at the end of the race. We're on lap 4. 3.5 laps completed for these particular cars around China. 3.5 laps of 28 in total. What else is going on down the rest of the field? Plenty of lockups. If you're not locking up the tyres, you're not locking up wheels at China, I don't think you're really driving. The cars right. Donkey Dan seems to have had a terrible start. I feel like Donkey Dan was maybe in the top 10 qualifying, but look at this, all the way down in P15 currently. Is there any damage that we can see on that Williams there? It doesn't look like it from this angle. Can't always tell though, to be honest. But hopefully Donkey Dan can start making some places back up, attacking some of these cars in front, because if qualifying's anything to go by, he's got the pace to do so. Tolu, who I have seen Tolu conduct some fantastic races this season, is unfortunately ghosted and probably disconnected right down the back of the field. So it's not going to be a great day for Alpine, despite Tarrier currently very much in contention for a podium place. See Lofty Pickle then, keeping it flat through the left-hander down into 5th, recharging the battery slightly onto the right, and then barely brake at all as you just carry the speed through the complex of corners. That might be a warning. Remains to be seen what the FIA think of that one. Interesting, actually, that so far we haven't had any time penalties. Be incredible if it stays that way to the end of the race. Now look at this. Where is the DRS? Where's the DRS detection line? Wow. On this part of the racetrack, I wasn't sure, to be honest, and Lofty Pickle did just drift behind to more than a second behind Shelby there. Now, if that were to happen, Shelby does seem like the fastest driver out on track today by some distance, and if Pickle ended up slipping behind and out of the DRS, you could potentially see that some of the cars behind might be able to work together to gain an advantage on the championship leader, as we watch the Haas and Alpine think about going side by side into turn 1, but eventually decide against it. You want to keep an incredibly tight line, but it's tricky with all these cars in front and so much dirty air just messing with all the downforce that you have. And I'm not sure if it was contact from Kai that has made Tarrier spin, or if it was just a lack of traction going around turn 2 and 3. But whatever the case, that is heartbreaking for Tarrier. We can see it down there on the timing board. Tarrier down into LTK, I should say. I feel like LTK is what everybody says, but I'm saying Tarrier, so I'm sticking to it. Down in 16th place now. I mean, if there was any contact, it was incredibly light. Yeah, it did look like they didn't touch, didn't it? It seemed like it was maybe just a loss of traction, but it must have been a huge torque spike for that to happen. Very unfortunate, whatever the case. Although I think that Kai was lagging a little bit slightly earlier, so we might not actually be getting the full picture of what actually happened there. But heartbreaking for the Alpine. Was in such a good position, did everything right, and maybe we'll need to look at that one come the end of the race. But meanwhile, These guys are not giving up the chase to the cars in front. Important to note, though, that currently Kai was almost out of a second. In fact, does not have the rear wing open. Look at that. Burning lots of battery to try and maintain pace with Sean in the Aston Martin, who's making a little bit of a breakaway, it would seem, but still 5 seconds down to Lofty Pickle, who is still battling for a race win. But Sean, yeah, making a little bit of a push. Not sure if he can keep that one up. Shark, who is not a regular Aston Martin driver, I don't believe, with a pretty good showing so far, currently sitting in P8. And it's 2 positions gained off the start, 5 positions gained for Igor in front. I do sometimes think with Sean that Sean tends to not qualify very well, but has, and I say not very well, I mean, he's evidently qualified 7th here, which is fine, isn't it? It's not like it's not like that's a bad qualifying session or whatever. But I think you just get the impression that Sean always gains in the race and always seems to have good races. And maybe if you could just swing together a lap time on qualifying slightly more often, he might even be in a better position in the championship than he already is. There has been a change for the race lead. It is Lofty Pickle currently leading the Chinese Grand Prix as we get underway with lap 8 of 28. Pickle getting the move done in that long DRS straight down that back straight there. And I think we did say probably the longest straight on the calendar. It depends what you're calling a straight in Baku and what's a kink in the track. But Shelby will need to answer this. And for me, Shelby has looked like the fastest driver. But you never can tell with Lofty Pickle. I mean, never ever discount. Whoa, Lofty Pickle. Goodness me, Shelby. Hear me, baby. Keep it together. Lots of sideways motion for the V-carb. Shelby will just be desperate to stay in DRS range of Lofty Pickle in front after potential drama there, but has done well. Only about half a second down now, and will be able to open the rear wing and probably regain the race lead, although I don't know. Lofty Pickle looks incredibly slippery in a straight line. Look at that. Has Pickle spent lots of battery there? Not really. It's 68%. Maybe just running absolutely no wings. Let's move slightly back as a huge lockup happens for Kai, but thankfully manages to avoid contact with the Aston Martin in front and Arbon in the Mercedes behind. These guys are still 6 seconds down at the moment to the race leaders. Igor is with them, Tenkart is with them, Shark is with them, but then we fall down a little bit further with a 4-second gap from 8th to 9th. General Jake does not look like being one of the serious contenders for a podium finish so far. But, you know, we're only 9 laps into the race. What about LTK then? Well, it's you can't watch that for too long, can you? It's just heartbreaking. I'll hope that Shelby will be able to keep things interesting and maybe retake the race lead. But to be honest, Shelby probably doesn't care about retaking the race lead at this point too much. We're kind of in that middling bit of the Grand Prix now where everyone's just trying to settle into their stride. Still, no time penalties, if you can believe it. Still no time penalties. It is a very wide track, to be fair, at China. But still no time penalties. You must think that some people will be going off track occasionally. And there we go. There is a change. It's not for the race lead, but Kai does get the move done on Sean, and we see the Aston Martin get incredibly close to the Haas as they round the second to last corner through that very tight hairpin, and then throw the car around turn 16 and towards the start-finish line as these cars begin lap 10 Incredibly close to the pit wall there by Kai in front. All the cars behind are really just, you know, just staying with it though. You might see some positions changed, I think, in that cluster of cars from P3 down to P8. But realistically, I don't think it means very much at this stage. We can have a look at that tyre strategy again though, because that is where things actually are probably quite interesting, because we can see that Kai, Arbon and Tenkar, according to that graphic, are on the hard tyres. Sean, Igor and Shark on the medium tyres. So alternate strategies between all 6 of those cars. They'll be coming into the pits at different times. Safety car would really change things. Shelby, meanwhile, has done well and is still maintaining that close distance to Lofty Pickle in front, after we saw the wobble taking that inside curb on the flat-out left-hander. I mean, look at this. I suppose Shelby is not using any ERS whatsoever, so definitely going for a little bit of a later play there. We saw the battery completely turned down, in fact, down the main straight, so not really interested in taking the race lead away from Lofty Pickle at this stage. Really aggressively throwing the V-carb through the final corner, staying close, keeping it competitive. That's what we like to see. That 6-second gap to Sean in third has kind of settled down. It's kind of become rhythmic for the past few laps. We are almost at a point where every single finisher will score points, but not quite. There's still going to be 2 unlucky cars left out there on the circuit come the end. That was pretty crazy by Mel. Really riding the inside curb at turn 1. It's not something that you need to do. You do want to keep it tight, though, around turn 1, but that is maybe just a fraction too tight and a fraction too risky. I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than the race is really here. The race is here from P3 down to P8. This is where things are actually interesting and exciting for the most part so far, because I reckon we might watch Shelby here. In fact, well, Shelby has fully charged ERS here, so maybe we will actually see a move down the straight. No, look at that. Straight back to none on the battery. Shelby just building as much charge as possible. Not even really thinking about it. I think the whole goal for Shelby here is just to keep the pressure on Lofty Pickle. Hopefully recognise the fact that Shelby does seem like the fastest driver on the circuit. And just encourage potential mistakes from Pickle. Now, is this why we saw some different tyre strategies? That sky looks incredibly grey. There are a lot of clouds. And do we have rain on the way? This looks like now it's the type of weather where it might even be raining at certain parts of the racetrack already. Who's going to be thinking about bringing the car in for some intermediate tyres? We see Sean. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe there is no rain on the way, because Sean has just fit a brand new set of hard tyres. You would think that the guys in the Aston Martin garage would have stopped him doing that. If indeed there was rain due. So maybe not rain, just a very significant drop in temperature with the cloud covering now in the sky. Pit stops are starting to happen though. Hard runners get to extend all the way to rain now. Oh, so it is rain. It is rain. Yeah, then maybe the hards were the call. Interesting though, does that mean Sean did mediums to hard? Are we sure there's rain? It looks like it wants to rain, but maybe it's never quite going to rain. By the way, a change for the race lead. Shelby overtakes Pickle down the back straight, rear wing open. Arbon has also just made it past Kai in the Haas. Huge lock up and very wide on the exit there. From Arbon around the hairpin, but you can take the exit of the hairpin wide, and there you see it. Arbon able to carry plenty of speed through the final corner and a little wobble for the Mercedes. By the way, all the medium runners are in. All the medium runners are in. Are they fitting intermediate tyres is really the question. They are not. They are fitting hard tyres. Now, you would think that if rain was on the way, and it's going to be soon, that they'd all be thinking about, you know, throwing a set of softs on and trying to go through to the wet, but that does not seem to be the case. Team's up in the air. Yeah, it seems like nobody's quite sure what's happening, but all the field now is currently on hard tyres. Got plenty of different amounts of life left in those tyres. This is really the opportunity now. Shelby, by the way, who has come out of the pits. Look at this. Shelby is out of the pits with less traffic in front than Lofty Pickle, so that overtake was crucial on that in-lap from Shelby, because now Lofty Pickle is unfortunately sat behind Infinity in the Williams with these brand new hard tyres. You'll hope that Pickle will be able to get the move done. That is incredibly close. The front wing of the Kicksauber almost colliding with the Williams around that double left-hander, and a big slide for Infinity. Pickle hits him with the switchback and just wants to get clear of that car as quickly as possible, because you can see in front Shelby with the rear wing open should be able to fly past Mel in the Kicksauber and put another car between himself and the championship leader to just try and solidify his command over this race at the moment. Definitely Shelby's to lose now, just based on the track position situation. So potentially a really good call by Shelby. Like I say though, that sky, it does look like it wants to open up any moment, although you can see like faint glimmers of sun coming through the clouds again now. So who knows what's going to happen with the weather by the end of the race. Meanwhile, Arbon is of course leading the race on track, but it's not going to mean very much because we have a look at the gap. Oh, that's why I'm getting it wrong. The gap to the leader, Shelby, is only around about 12 seconds down on Arbon now, so as soon as all these cars in front bring their cars into the pits, we should see Shelby retake the race lead. No, definitely, I stand by that statement, Mr. Bojangles. Compared to like a lap and a half ago, this sky is slightly more white than it is grey. About a lap and a half ago, it looked like it was getting denser and greyer, and it's just looking slightly lighter. Let's wait and see. Where did you get your degree in meteorology? As we see Tenkart swing the Ferrari into the pit lane, and we have a new race leader, at least out on track. It is Hayes in the Haas, not from the F1 weather engine. Yeah, well, you wouldn't be able to do that. Tenkart, let's have a look where the Ferrari comes out here, because this will be interesting. Well, it looks quite a way down the order, but the most interesting thing is that Tenkart has fit the medium tyres to probably take him through the final 13 or so laps of this Chinese Grand Prix. You would think that for at least a brief moment, Tenkart should be the fastest man on track. He was in that chasing pack of 6 cars. We call them a chasing pack. What they really were was a falling behind pack of 6 cars who were not really able to gain any ground on Pickle and Shelby in front. Speaking of Pickle and Shelby in front, there are now 2 cars. Oh, and Pickle's really trying to get a move done. Look at this. There are 2 cars now between the Sauber and the V-Carb, and the V-Carb has his teammate to pass in front. I am pretty sure that General Jake will make that move quite easy for Shelby. Same can't be said for Lofty Pickle, who's going to try, or has been trying for the past few corners, to make it around LXN in the Red Bull, but is about to open up that rear wing. Let's watch right as we hit the DRS zone. There it is, and plenty of straight line speed. Look at that. You just leave the Red Bull for dead. Lofty Pickle moves up into P6, and only a Donkey Dan between the race leader, excuse me, and the man essentially in P2. And there goes Donkey Dan into the pits. That looked like a warning to me there. Oh, there we go. Look at that. First time penalty. Why is it not... Wouldn't it normally just show it anyway? It would normally show it anyway, wouldn't it? Wouldn't have to tell it to show you the penalties, but we do have our first time penalty. It goes to LXM in the Red Bull with a 3-second penalty. Did Tenkart start on hards? I believe that Tenkart did indeed start on hards. Yes. So didn't really take the hard tyres. Oh goodness, that was close. Didn't really take the hard tyres all that long, did he? So those mediums might be a little bit sketch by the end, but that remains to be seen. As predicted, General Jake has already made way for his teammate Shelby comfortably up into P2, and you wonder, Jake will want to get these hard tyres off as soon as possible. Is it worth him holding up Pickle? I mean, not to compromise his own race, not when Pickle is 2.5 seconds down on Jake currently and not really in any position to capitalise on DRS or anything like that from the V-carb in front. Yeah, it looks like Tenkart. I mean, who else was in that little chasing pack? I think Igor was there. Was Igor there as well? Igor has pitted. Sean was there, in fact. So, yeah, that little chasing pack is spread out a little bit as well with all of the traffic situation going on. Albon brings the car into the pits, which does confirm that Shelby is the new race leader and could well be the race leader come the end of the race now. Has a pretty significant advantage to Pickle behind. But, yeah, I think... there we go. Looks like we're back to that group of 6 cars now. Sean, Igor, Tenkart, Kai, Shark, and Arbon. But the positions have switched somewhat, and somehow, I'm not sure exactly what's happened to Arbon. This is all just pit stops is the only thing that's going on there. I'm not sure exactly what's happened to Arbon, but Arbon seems to have been the biggest loser there, really, in that group. The only reason they're currently extending down to P9 is because General Jake is still yet to swing his V-carb into the pit. Speaking of, I did wonder whether this would come into play. Lofty Pickle has now caught General Jake in the V-carb in front. How defensive will Jake be able to go down this back straight? It's a very long straight, and the Sauber's going to have the rear wing open for most of it. Jake is just planting the car in the middle of the road, but really is going to have absolutely nothing in terms of a defense here, you would think, although must be burning some. Look at that straight on the overtake button, burning plenty of battery and getting the cars very, very close together. Jake is trying to do everything to put off his teammate's rival, and you would think now that Jake will just surely pull the V-carb into the pits in a moment. This is just going to take advantage of the DRS now that he is sitting behind Lofty Pickle, but not really going to have the pace to keep up with the Sauber now, you would think, on those very, very old, hard tyres. New fastest lap of the race has been set by Hayes in the Haas. Still just a one-time penalty. Look at that for a fastest lap. The only person so far to have broken into the 132s. I mean, it's the fastest lap by some distance, to be honest, from Kai. An incredibly fast one. Kai will likely be overtaking Igor here and might be able to pull away a little bit, in fact, from the McLaren in front. But look at that gap now that Sean has built up to Igor behind. It's another 4 seconds. And General Jake then already 2.5 seconds now down on Lofty Pickle. Surely, the last man yet to pit, surely Jake is going to swing that V-carb into the garage on this lap. Maybe he's going to do... Was it... who pulled that strap? Was it Alex Albon? Do nearly the full race, then throw on a set of softs and see if you get fastest lap. That is not what General Jake will be doing tonight. Finally brings the car into the pitch. You would imagine fitting the medium tyres to go to the end of the race. Maybe you could fit the softs, though, with so few laps remaining. I mean, we'll keep half an eye on it, because it might be interesting to see. But we can see all the cars flying past, and the order is back to something that we're a bit more familiar with. Shelby out in front, a 5-second advantage to Lofty Pickle in P2. Don't really see that changing. Sean is then another 4 seconds down to Pickle and in P3. Igor slots in P4 with Kai in the Haas incredibly close behind. Kai once again activating the teleporter to try and get the overtake done, but it's not going to stick this time. Now, if those two cars in front are battling, that's probably exciting for Tenkart to watch, because Tenkart does have the tyre advantage, at least for now, on Igor in the McLaren in front. Now, that might not be the case all the way through to the end of the race, because Tenkart is doing a pretty long stint on these medium tyres, and you would think that by the last couple of laps they'll start to fall off a little bit, but you can see that Tenkart is gaining ground on them here, and will want to try and make this advantage count while he can, to really be in contention for a solid finish. As we watch General Jake open up the rear wing, although DRS is open as well for the Red Bull, but General Jake just making sure with, I think with a tyre advantage, I'm pretty sure, yeah. General Jake sliding the brand new medium tyres around the hairpin of turn 14, I think it is. I'm not sure who was off in front there. It's Donkey Dan. Almost crashing through the pit wall. Look at this. Look at this by Donkey Dan. That Williams looks very, very squirrely. Now, did Tenkart has still not been able to gain ground on the guys in front. In fact, he's actually slightly lost ground a little bit, which will be disappointing. Igor is maintaining that P4, which might be nice just because it makes things tricky for Kai, at least from Tenkart's perspective. But Tenkart not able to break in to that 1 second gap, and therefore, oh no, look at that, does have the DRS just about, was able to open the rear wing this lap, the Ferrari, so that should probably bring him close enough to be in contention for this battle, and I'm pretty sure that was contact between Igor and Kai there. Igor coming off worse for wear with the hard tyres, and Kai pulling away now as they begin lap 21 of 28 for the Chinese Grand Prix. We can see the race leader approaching the tricky braking zone there of turn 5, but not a problem for Shelby, nice and smooth. I mean, the car's locking up, but it locks up at China. But 3 cars pretty close together. LXN is really not involved because of that time penalty, at least as things currently stand. But Donkey Dan, LXN and General Jake, we might catch some exciting racing here. I'm just going to keep half an eye on the mini-map there, because all the way back from Sean in P3, there's a huge cluster of pretty fast drivers. We'll be hoping to have the better of their rivals come the end of the race, which is not too far away now, maybe 6 or 7 laps to go. Donkey Dan maintaining the advantage then as these 3 cars approach this long back straight, but you will see here that the Red Bull and the V-Carb are going to open that rear wing and probably have absolutely no problem at all flying past the Williams. Donkey Dan can do absolutely nothing to resist, although very tricky for General Jake to take that inside line. They're almost 3 wide through the hairpin. Through the final corner is General Jake going to try and swing it around the outside. There's not enough room there in that final corner of the racetrack to really get a move done. And incredibly, they seem to start the first sector as we found them, with Donkey Dan in front. And a little bit of a wobble by LXN in the Red Bull has allowed Donkey Dan to retake the lead of this little 3-car race. Very exciting stuff going on here. General Jake hangs it around the outside of turn 3 and looks like he's going to have the inside line going into turn 5 against the Red Bull. Clean on the brakes. Yeah, just made sure he had all the track position to work with there, and General Jake does get the move done and will have his sights set on Donkey Dan in front. Whoa, a little wobble by the Williams, a little wobble. Into this tight left-hander then. Is there any room for Jake to gain any ground in the V-carb as they go through the very, very long right-hander that leads onto the straight? The rear wing's going to be open for the V-carb in a moment. He's pressing down on that overtake button. We can see the Williams just falling out of view there. There it is. All the advantage in the world for General Jake, who really will want to be pulling away from the Red Bull as well, so that he doesn't really have to deal with that fight for the rest of the race and can just settle into a comfortable, presumably P9 finish. Pickle's still 5.5 seconds down on Shelby. I think there's only one race winner here today. As long as Shelby keeps it between the white lines, as long as we don't get any safety cars and no chaos and craziness happening, it looks like your top 3 are kind of set in stone. Although, might be speaking slightly too soon there. I haven't been watching what kind of time gain Kai is making, if any, on Sean in the Aston Martin. Thank you for the raid, Bulky. Welcome on in, everybody. You won't hear a raid alert tonight because we're too busy watching the race and commentating on the race, round 9 of Tier 2 in F1 Broke Boys. It is the Chinese Grand Prix. You join us as the race leader approaches the end of lap 23. So we're going to have 5 laps remaining. Looks like the race lead, though, it looks like the race win is pretty much nailed on. As long as Shelby can do a professional job, he is extending the lead on Pickle behind, if you can believe it. So Pickle really having a bit of a rotten time around China today. The championship leader, but not the race leader. And probably the podium set with Sean. It just depends whether Kai can make this. I'm not really sure if there is a tyre advantage anymore to make count, you know? Because realistically, 8 laps on the mediums, 12 laps on the hards, they're probably at a, they're at a sort of crossover point now where I don't think the advantage is going to be that significant. But, Kai will be pushing right up until the end of the race. 10 car is also kind of involved in that equation. It'd be nice to see something exciting happen around that final podium place, but I'm just not wholly convinced. There is still a 3-way battle going on for P9, as there was earlier. General Jake currently has the better of his rivals LXN and Donkey Dan, but all 3 of these cars pretty close together, and it doesn't look like they're going to be challenged by anybody around them. Look at Arbon here. Ooh, was taking an inside line, and Igor in the McLaren just about managed to hang it around the outside. Still very exciting racing happening a little bit further down the order. You've just got to find it. Mercedes then will have the better run, you would think, out of this corner. That McLaren looks like it's struggling and squirming for traction ever so slightly. But the rear wing will open for Igor in front, and it's also going to open for Arbon. And you can see Arbon pressing down really hard on the overtake button, spending absolutely everything that he's got in the battery to make sure he gets the move done. And he is right behind 10 Kart into turn 14, that very tight hairpin. And they're going to swing it in to the final corner as they get ready to start their 25th lap of the race. Arbon is taking no prisoners at the moment, squeezes the overtake once again, lets all the juice out the battery, and says thank you very much to the Ferrari as he slides into P5. And probably Arbon is going to want to insert himself into whatever is going on in front. Kai still around about 2 seconds down on Sean. That number hasn't changed too much. It changes sometimes corner to corner and straight to straight, but lap to lap it's around about 2 seconds, and it doesn't look like Oh, that number is changing. That's two people that we've been riding on board with now and watched them take the inside curb on that flat-out left-hander, and it's far too dangerous to do that around China. That was very nearly a moment for the Silver Arrow of Arbon. No DR. Oh yeah, there is DRS for Igor. It just, the DRS starts so far down this straight was really the problem. Look at how far back Shark is from the rest of those drivers in front. That's going to be, well, pretty disappointing, you would think, for Shark, because he was really in this battle in the early phases of this race. But now with 3 laps left to go, looks to be completely out of the running. Sean's extending the lead. Sean is indeed extending the lead on Kai, so it looks like P3 is probably nailed on for Sean, but there's still some sorting out to be done down the order a little bit, with Kai only around about 1.2 1.3 seconds ahead of Arbon in P5, and then still very, very close racing between Tenkart in the Ferrari and Arbon in the Mercedes. It has to be said that Tenkart is currently second in the championship, and so maybe best poised to put a challenge in against Lofty Pickle's dominance. But looking at today's result, Lofty Pickle's dominance, even when having to drive a kick Sauber, seems like it's going to continue. Bit of a wobble, bit of a moment for the Ferrari, but a great save, holds it all together, keeps the car pointing in the right direction, and just wants to make sure that he's hanging on close to the back of that Mercedes. Arbon. Is Arbon about to get the deep... Oh, so we got another time penalty. I'm not sure who that was for. Maybe Infinity. Is Arbon about to get the DRS on Kai? No, is the answer to that, but it was very close to happening. Over the next... Yeah, over this next couple of laps, things are going to be very, very interesting here in the battle for P4. All of these cars are going to be very close together. Arbon has had to spend a lot of battery gaining the ground that he has gained so far. You can look a little bit down the order there that Igor, Tenkart, and indeed Kai have an ERS advantage to Arbon at the moment, but Arbon has the tyre advantage to everybody. It's only slight in some instances, but it does look like he's got a tyre advantage to all of the cars around him at the moment. You're going to look to send it up the inside of turn 5. You wouldn't have thought so. Braking around about the 100-metre board and just keeping the car on the tarmac, taking it nice and easy. Back up to 52% charge and back in a position to challenge the others in terms of his ERS. So very exciting last couple of laps coming up. We'll ride on board. Well, no, we won't ride on board with Shelby. We will as Shelby's about to win the race, because that seems fair, but there's really not too much exciting going to be happening out in front. You wouldn't have thought. This is really where all the action's going to be. Arbon swings it very, very wide there. Oh, and almost a moment, the rear wheels lighting up. And the Mercedes almost taking off like a rocket ship, but he has got the rear wing to open now. But look at this, Tenkart in the Ferrari is closing in on Arbon, and Igor not too far away in the McLaren as well. All 4 of these cars are going to be bunched up really close together now as they approach the final couple of corners in the penultimate lap of the race. Almost 2 by 2 by 2. Look at this. We have Kai leading in P4. We've got Arbon in the Mercedes P5, Tenkart currently in P6, and Igor in P7. All of them are within 1 second of each other. Arbon makes a dive for the lead. Tenkart also overtakes Kai going into turn 1. Kai having to take a wide and compromised line as they swing it around turns 2 and 3 then. Trying to, look at that, trying to take a tight line there, the Haas driver, to gain any advantage on the drivers around him. Igor has lost a little bit of ground even as these cars are battling in front. Big lockups for everybody. Tenkart getting very close to Arbon. Round about a lap and a half to go. Lofty Pickle looks to have finished second here because Shelby is the race winner, and it feels like a disservice to Shelby that we haven't rode on board with him too much in an utterly dominating performance. But too many exciting things are happening behind Tenkart still has DRS to Arbon. Kai still has DRS to Tenkart. Igor still has DRS to the Haas. Arbon is going to feel like he is under threat. Oh, and it's a big slide from the Mercedes. He manages to hold it together, but now with that loss of traction and with the straight line speed advantage of the cars behind, you might see Arbon slip all the way down to P7 here on the final lap. There you go, one Ferrari. There's the Haas. Where is the McLaren? A bit too far back to get the move done. Shelby is your race winner and wins the Chinese Grand Prix. Congratulations to Shelby. Arbon, though, manages to do the switchback on Kai going into the penultimate corner and has lost the place to Tenkart, who will finish P4. But a solid bit of driving by Arbon at the end there to secure P5. Kai ends up finishing P6 and Igor down in P7. As I say, congratulations to Shelby, the race winner. It doesn't look like there's too much excitement to be had. I mean, I guess 10th is pretty close to Agbala jobs here, but I would be amazed. Yeah, a little bit of a wobble and a bit too much of a wobble around the final corner. 10th can't really make that advantage. Well, there you go. Time penalties gained a position for 10th anyway. Yeah, maybe not the most exciting race all season, I think it's fair to say. But there were moments. There were moments of excitement and tension, and it was pretty exciting that the guys we were following left it right until the end to really show what an interesting evening this turned out to be. Shelby's the race winner. Lofty Pickle will be alongside on the podium, P2, and Sean completes the top 3. All of that means that Lofty Pickle will extend his lead at the front of the championship. Sean might now be his nearest competitor ahead of Tenkart, although Tenkart did finish 4th. I think it's going to be pretty close between Sean and Tenkart, and to be honest, they're probably far enough behind Lofty Pickle now that they're really going to be looking at and focusing on each other rather than the current championship leader. It looks like it's Lofty Pickles to lose. But a great race by Shelby. Just categorically looked like the fastest man on track for the entire evening. Thanks, everybody, for chilling out. I hope you enjoyed it. I should be back again next week for round 10. 3 rounds to go. We have Abu Dhabi, we have Spa, and we have Silverstone. 3 exciting races to close out this, what will be the final season of F1 Broke Boys on F124, if everything goes to plan. Take care of each other.